Meantime, another top story today, more trouble for Target. An investigation into that recent data breach now shows that up to 70 million people were impacted. It also shows stolen information includes name, mailing addresses, phone numbers, or email addresses. Paul Viollis is the CEO of Risk Control Strategies. It's a firm that tackles corporate and cybersecurity issues. So beyond these disturbing headlines, if you are one of the shoppers at Target over the holiday season, Paul, how worried should you be right now?
I think pretty concerned, Sarah. No question about that. I mean, the issue that we really need to look at on the macro side is the business model that's associated with the criminal mantra for identity theft and who the targets are and what the information is being used for. Now, clearly, from the consumer's perspective, this is something that credit card reports are going to have to be looked at, as well as all of their financial statements on a monthly basis, because the bottom line about identity theft is that once it's stolen, it's stolen. You're not going to get it back, so you're going to have to manage it from this point going forward.
Paul, based on what you've seen so far, does this look like something unique to Target, or do you think it's more of an industry-wide vulnerability in retail?
Right, excellent question. And the point is that we should not be throwing Target under the bus at this point. That's irresponsible. This is not a Target issue. This is a national issue. It's an epidemic. Identity theft and data theft is the fastest growing business in this country and probably even in the world. And we have to understand that the business model behind it is really centered around negative migration. Negative behavior migrates to the path of least resistance. Any corporation that's not properly conducting annual vulnerability assessments, or individuals that aren't properly protecting their personal information, are leaving themselves vulnerable to this type of occurrence. So it's not necessarily a Target issue. It's not even just a retail issue. It's across the board.
Hey, Paul, Target says that all these data points, your phone number, your name, your address, were probably accessed partially, not completely, and they're trying to get in touch with those customers that were affected. How would you know if you were one of those customers whose name or address had been obtained, and what would be the first step a hacker would take to take advantage of you?
Well, really, Carl, it depends on once the hacker gets the information. And again, think of this from the business perspective. They make a business case just on really the low-hanging fruit. So if there's a significant amount of personal information available and they're able to quote-unquote, Google that information and ascertain the potential net worth of that person, the higher the net worth, the higher the target, because the larger the pot of gold. The information that's available, whether or not someone's actually going to know whether it was stolen, is slim to none. I mean, it's possible. I think Target's doing the responsible thing, and they're putting the information out there. But the unfortunate part about this, and the part that we can't escape, is that once the information is gone, it's gone. The consumer is going to have to monitor this on a monthly basis from not only their credit card statements, but their credit bureau itself.
Interesting. But you're saying the criminals, whoever they are essentially screening all this data to find the richest of the victims.
There's no question about that. And if you look at it this way, again, if you take the passionate side out of it and look at strictly from a business case, path of least resistance. So if I can go after someone who obviously resides in, because this information is going to lead the criminal to where the people live, how many homes they have, where they travel to, what they buy, that whole pattern of whether that person's affluent or not. Clearly, if I can get into someone's home that's living in Greenwich as opposed to the South Bronx, I'm going to Greenwich. So that information is going to steer the criminal in this particular case towards the path of least resistance, as well as where the greatest return on their investment will be for that crime.
All right, scary stuff. Paul, thanks for joining us with your perspective here on the Target security breach, wider than initially expected.
Incredible story.